We usually have the Python stand-up on Thursdays, but today's Python Day. So what we're going to do is the App Service Community Stand-up Python Day edition. I have with me Jeff, and today is going to be all about Python, but we usually talk about App Service, and we have different topics. I think that the one for next month we're going to be talking about WordPress. So we try to bring you updates and news about all the different things that we're doing in App Service to keep the platform fresh and new features, etc.
Awesome. Well, I will let y'all take it away.
Thank you very much. And like I said, hi, I'm Byron Tardif. I'll be your host today for the App Service Community Python Day edition. And I have Jeff. Jeff is also from the App Service team. And Jeff, you want to talk a little bit about yourself? What do you do?
Yeah, sorry, I can hear you. Just one second.
Okay.
But yeah,
Okay,
hi everyone.
so-
Jeff Martinez, a PM on App Service, and
Awesome. So today we're going to talk about all the different pieces that you can put together to build a Python app that's going to be using OpenAI. And we also want to do it through gRPC. So gRPC is a platform that we added to it's a feature that we added to the platform recently. The reason why gRPC is interesting is for this type of chatbot scenarios where you're going back and forth. If you're doing it over traditional HTTP requests, there's a lot of overhead, right? And there's a lot of complication if you're doing a 201 continuation or you're chunking requests and responses. gRPC is a lot more efficient because you can do it over a single HTTP connection. So with that, Jeff, do you want to walk us through a little bit of like the intro for this? What's gRPC? What all this is about?
yeah, absolutely. I believe the slides are loading, and there's just a couple of them. Can we see them?
Yep, I can see the slide.
Yeah. Okay. So what is gRPC? If you're unfamiliar, gRPC is a remote procedure call framework from Google that uses protocol buffers to streamline messages between a gRPC client and server over an HTTP2 connection. The benefit being that it enables streaming scenarios, which can be done over just a single connection. So apps can stream messages from the client side, the server side, or both simultaneously with bidirectional streaming. It also enables language agnostic implementations since it uses these protocol buffers. So you can have a gRPC.NET client talking to a Python gRPC server, vice versa. Let's see. And for app service support, we do support each type of call with gRPC. So Unary, that one is just a single request and response, which we'll be showing today. Server and client streaming, as well as bidirectional streaming. Okay,
Today
so enough
we're
of the
just
slides.
showing you the Python side, but this works for all of the different languages that we support on App Service, right? So .NET, Java, Python, Node, and right now it's just for Linux.
Correct. Right now, it's just for Linux. It's in public preview, and we're working towards getting it to GA. And for Windows support, that will be only for .NET workloads, but that'll be coming in 2024.
Awesome. Yeah. So let's dive into the demo.
All right. Now let me go and make sure I share the right screen here.
Okay, so what I'm seeing here is you have an app that's hosted on App Service, and this is just telling you that there's an app there, right?
Correct.
The web page.
So right here we have the Python server already hosted on App Service. It's a simple chat service that uses OpenAI and LangChain. And then if I go to my client, you can see that let's see, that it's already pointed to the deployed application at AzureWebsites.net. So if I start the client, it should prompt me for a query to ask the server. So I'll ask it. what is Azure App Service? One line TLDR. It gives me my response. Now let's get one more. If you're familiar with LangChain tutorials, you might have seen this one. And it gives me that one. Sock it to me. It's a great name. Okay, so what's happening here is the gRPC client is pointed to the gRPC server hosted on App Service. And it creates a channel that enables you to send these messages over a single connection. And since we're using a unary call in this case, it sends a single request and gets a single response back, which works for this particular use case. If you're dealing with a lot more data that needed to be streamed, we can use a streaming method, either from the client side, the server side, or again, both, that would still send messages over that single connection. So the benefit being here, as Byron mentioned, if we didn't have gRPC, you could be dealing with a multiple HTTP request, but because we can use a single connection, it reduces that overhead needed on the server and any complexities on the clients to handle HTTP patterns. So you don't need to deal with things like JSON serialization, since it uses binary payloads over an HTTP2 connection.
Awesome. So did you have to do anything special in your app to configure it for this?
Right. So on the app server side, there's three main configurations that you need to take into consideration. So if you go to your configuration blade and the platform settings, you'll need to set the HTTP version to 2.0. And this configures the app to allow HTTP2 client requests to come in. You'll also need to enable this HTTP 2.0 proxy setting and set it to on. This will enable the HTTP2 request to be passed along to the worker via the proxy. Right now, there is a bug. So when you set it, you'll see that it's not actually showing enabled, but it is. We are working towards getting that fixed. And the last one that you need to be concerned about or add is this environment variable, this HTTP 20 only port. I have set mine to 8282. It doesn't have to be a very specific number, but
this is a cool little segue because you're showing the new environment variables feature. This used to be part of configuration. It was called app settings because when we started with the platform, it was just Windows. Most people were familiar with app settings from the old IIS days. But we've had overwhelming feedback that what people think with this environment variable. So this basically up-leveling that configuration. And it's going to give you all the features that you already know and love, like the advanced editor and the being able to see all of your app settings and connection strings in one place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and to sort of wrap up, this environment variable is needed specifically because it's a requirement from app service to have a port that specifically listens to HTTP2 traffic.
Right, and in this case, the way the request gets routed is it goes from the client, it reaches the app service front end, and then from the app service front end, it gets routed to the worker, and then from the worker, it gets routed to your application. And this is the port that is going to be specific to the app, correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's the port that's specifically listening for it. So. Yeah, but that's the demo. Guess we can go to any questions.
Yeah, and I guess also to mention, if you guys want to see bidirectional streaming demo, we did something similar for .NET Day, so we have that as well. If you wanna take a look, it's basically .NET with kernel syntax or syntax kernel. What's the name, Jeff? Remind me.
Mm-hmm. Semantic kernel.
Semantic kernel,
yeah.
Right.
So it's it's sort of the Microsoft version of LangChain semantic kernel.
Right. And that when we're doing the bidirectional, we're uploading it. We upload a chunk of text, and then we do the processing there with the OpenAI. You were going to say something, Jeff? Sorry.
Right. No, yeah. I do have a link to the demo that we're showing today. and I will share that in the chat so you can see or try it out for yourself.
Awesome. And just to fill in a couple blanks, I think we have a couple of questions. Do we want to pop them up, Haley, or? So I think we have one that is about the environment variables features. Is that going to be coming to functions too? Yes. Right now we're starting with it on web apps. We're flighting it, so not everybody's going to see it, but eventually it will get to everybody. That's how we do releases, so that we make sure that everything is working and we don't break everybody at the same time. If we have something that's not working, that never happens. And then the idea is to take this experience over to both functions and static web apps. So awesome. I have the good luck of owning the user experience for all of those services, and we try to make it cohesive so that it's all kind of like the same. And if you're familiar with one, you should be familiar with all the other ones.
Awesome. And you knocked out the first question yourself. I just wanted to say thank you so much for the presentation as well. I love app service. That's where I usually deploy. I've had a little bit of fiddling with LangChain, and I'm not familiar with gRPC. So I'm definitely going to go to the demo application that you're putting in the chat and check that out for myself. Really excited for the presentation.
Awesome. Thank you.
I think we have a little bit of time for the next question.
Yes.
Is there one that you see that looks interesting to you and I can read it out? We'll add it onto screen.
So there's one, I think there's two people asking the same thing. It's from Jason. Where did you get SSL channel creds or awesome. gRPC creds? Do you want to talk to that one, Jeff? I think all of this is the way SSL is negotiated. It's all negotiated on the front end. So that's where the handshake happens, and then the stuff that we get over on the worker is unencrypted. So two things are happening there. One is we're offloading that CPU that is the overhead of doing the SSL handshake to the workers, which is shared infrastructure. That's super convenient for you because you're not using CPU cycles on your worker that you're paying for. That's happening on the front end. So I'm not sure if that is answering the question, but that's how I understood it.
Great. And I think we have time for maybe one more. Let's see. Let's get another good one. There's so many great questions. Can we do the, how about the environment variable one? Does that one make sense, fit what we're looking for today?
I think we talked about that already. Like what
Okay.
are the, yeah. And people I think are asking for the link to the repos. We have it there. The other thing, just a reminder that we also have, there's the Azure developers handle on Twitter, but there's also one for app service specifically, which is at AC app service. I'll drop it in the chat so we can probably throw something there. And that's also like a couple of things. We're not going to do support requests, so don't come at me with my app is broken type of questions. But if you want pointers to docs or links, or talk about where can I file a feature requests, those are the types of things that we deal with there. And we also put links to docs or things that we see people doing interesting stuff. If you want to learn more about what other people are doing, that's like a good channel to get connected into that. Let's see what else. Just in general, I know that we're talking about Python, but I think this is the second session where people talk about deploying their web apps to app service. So I wanted to touch on why that is a good idea. And the way to think about it is when we talk about infrastructure as a service versus platform versus containers and Kubernetes and whatnot. we think of app service as a high developer productivity environment, which means you don't need to learn how to manage a kube cluster if all you need to do is run a single container or run a web application. And app service does a lot of stuff for you from a platform perspective, right? Like we make sure that the Python runtime is always up to date. I think it's something like no more than 30 days from a minor version being released that we get it on the platform. The new version of Python is coming out, so I think that's going to be happening in October. You should see it in the platform shortly after that. So those are the type of things that the platform gives you, and then we're looking at also like features, right? Like for example, in this case, we were demoing gRPC. From your perspective, you're not having to build this multiple layers of how am I going to distribute the gRPC traffic that is coming into my applications. Just you turn it on, you enable the proxy, you say what port, and the platform takes care of that, right? The SSL offloading, that's another great example, right? We make it so that it's not something that you're necessarily having to pay for. It's taken care for by the platform, and we try to do it in a way that is, battle hardened, battle tested, so that from your perspective, you're just turning on a feature, but behind the scenes, there's, thousands of lines of code and multiple hours of work from our engineers that basically build those things so that literally all you need to do is turn the feature on.
Yay. Oh my gosh, that sounds great. I'm excited to jump into the demo. And I think we're also going to provide a link to that demo as well. We had the name of it below, but I think we're already also going to put in the chat the link to that demo.
Yep.
Cool.
So I think that wraps it up for us. Thank you so much, Jeff. Thank you so much, Don and Haley. And I know Jay is also doing work over in the comments. So
Jay is our superstar. All right. Thanks for having y'all. Bye, y'all.
Yeah, and we'll see you all in the next App Service Community update coming in October. Yep, Thursdays. Bye.